Let me revert quickly to Barrister Sendogon. Two issues, but let's start with the first, which is the fact that a lot of persons have argued that INEC always has 4 years to conduct general elections. Yeah. That 4 years is enough time to foresee many of these issues we are dealing with today as a country, and INEC in particular as a commission. But then again, in the middle of it, you have unforeseen circumstances that would prop up. What is the justification for INEC as a commission, especially when it comes to dealing with all of these issues? One of our reporters a while ago, just to buttress this point, just told us that where he was, there was no voting. There were no INEC officials, there were no materials, which means that there are chances you have a few more places like that where there is no electoral activity at all for an INEC that's supposed to be covering every nook and cranny of this country. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, 4 years, I would say straight away, is more than enough time to prepare for elections. Don't forget, this journey started since 1999.
Right.
We've had election in 99, we've had in 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015. And now we are in 2019. In other words, we have done elections 5 times. This is the 6th experience. 1999, yes, there could be some excuses because, of course, we were just transiting from military and it was our first experiment. 2003, okay. And 2007, I want to say that from 2007, I think that was the election that brought in Musa Yar'Adua.
Right.
You know, he himself admitted that we were having a flawed electoral process. And one of his promises to Nigerians was that, look, we're going to find ways and means of improving the electoral process. I make bold to say that from 2007 to 2011, we saw substantial progress. 2015, and that was when, of course, Goodluck Jonathan came in and to complete the tenure of Yar'Adua. I tell people that Jonathan's greatest achievement is his contribution to our electoral system. He brought an electoral system that unseated him.
You want to explain that first?
The president midwives the election. Right. First, we have a procedure where it is the president that appoints the chairman of INEC. That in itself is wrong.
Even though it's constitutional.
Well, that's part of the problem we have in our laws. If we are saying it's going to be independent, and we know that he who pays the piper, he takes the tone. We know that the man who appoints you, you will remain eternally grateful and probably loyal and obedient to him and not to the people that you are expected to serve. Then there is an issue. Don't forget there is the Ways Committee report that has recommended better ways of appointing the INEC chairman. And if we do that, I'm sure we'll begin to get better results.
Okay, now, we are going to talk about those better results in a bit, but let's quickly bring on now McDonald Runoha, who is reporting for us somewhere from Edo North. McDonald, good morning.
Good morning, Uyi.
Yeah, please remind us where you're covering and then just give us a feel of what the developments are like around there.
I'm covering Itako West, Itako Central, and East.
Okay.
I've gone through Itako East, Itako Central. Presently, I'm at Itako West, Ward 10. The turnout here is impressive.
That's great. So what are some other things you want to tell us quickly?
It's peaceful and calm. The voting process is still on. Okay. Accreditation and voting immediately is on now. While the queue are still on, others are sitting waiting. Okay. So the environment is calm. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. We hope you keep in touch with us and bring us up to speed as we make progress with this discussion we're having on Nigeria Decides on independent television and independent radio. That is the Heartbeat 92.3 FM. Remember, there's a WhatsApp number just by the way on your screen. You can also push us all of those observations, pictures and videos that you're seeing wherever you are, especially where you're voting. Barrister Ide, you want to continue?
Yes. So we must work at the process and procedure for the appointment of the INEC chairman.
Right.
We must fortify INEC as a body. to ensure that it is not only independent in name, but it is independent in reality and in actual fact. For 4 years to prepare for an election, and it is not just 4 years. We have a 16 years experience behind us. So I expect that after every election, INEC goes back to the drawing board and says, well, these are the areas where we had challenges. How do we improve on this? It is over time that this electronic voting, the issue of card reader came to reduce ballot box snatching. And I have posited before now that, look, until we get to the system where I don't need to go to a particular point to queue up to vote, the issue of rigging, the issue of ballot box snatching, the issue of violence will continue. Because there is desperation on the part of our politicians. And you know that, oh, people are gathered in a place here. This is where they are voting. And you go there, your agent that is standing there tells you, by merely shaking his head, these things are not going well. And then you go and mobilize people to come and disrupt the election. So if I am in my house, you are in your house, there is no one point to go to go and say what's happening here. The only point you will have in such a process is to sit down in a situation room and you are looking at the system and the votes are counting. You can't scatter or destroy the computer that is collecting the results. You can't tell anybody, you can't come and tell me in my house, not even in my parlor, maybe in my restroom where I'm holding my little system and I'm casting my vote. You can't control it. One leader cannot say, oh, where are you? Go and show me or go and snap. They cannot. Even if you are going to do all of that, it will be at the end of the election. So until we put in place a system where, and for me, I feel very pained that our leaders are deliberately, consciously doing everything not to put these things in place because they seem to be benefiting from this flawed process. Yes. And that is my concern. Because the amount that was released to INEC this year alone for this election, we would have saved more than 40% of that if we were doing the electronic process of voting. First of all, you look at the printing of the ballot papers, you look at the use of these electronic readers that we, electronic card readers that we are using. You look at the cost of manpower that are deployed. You look at the cost of movement and risk that our people are subjected to. So by the time you look at all of this, you find that.
All right, we're just going to allow Barrister to continue shortly. But let's talk to Thomas Sado, who is on the line for us. Thomas, good morning.
We agree to rise the studio, but I want to let you know that things are happening here at Ronsoye Primary School. That's a local ward 6. We have incidents of gunshots, and people came to the place and they made to understand that they were shooting guns. Before then, the process was very, very peaceful. But I have somebody here that can talk to us more on what he witnessed.
Okay.
Brother, can you talk to us in the please? Okay.
Accreditation started about 8 o'clock here, and the voting process has been going on peacefully. There was no violence until at about 30 minutes ago, as I'm talking to you now. Some police officers there, but it came close to the place where we are voting, and we started hearing gunshots, and it came from afar, so we ran for cover first. But when they left after shooting into the air, eventually we found out that somebody was shot at the leg. After I talked to that about now, he has been rushed to UBTH. And the voting process is on now, so after talking to you now, so people are still in the queue and trying to vote again. So we are still expecting us to come, but the place is still out before now.
Thank you for your contribution. Thomas, thank you so much. Please stay with us.
I'll call you at the situation
We will once again. So we will stay in touch with Thomas Sado to bring us up to speed as to developments around the Barrister. I know you were making the point a while ago, but let's quickly talk about something topical now. Outbreak of violence again. Thugs coming to shoot at voting centers. That should give us some concern.
What did I say? Yes, we find that, again, it's a product of desperation. It's a product of desperation. And that's part of the point I was just making.
Right.
Somebody now, unfortunately, we didn't get the name of the victim of that violence, but you find that people could come to that place. Apparently, there may have been some information that, oh, things are not going in somebody's favor. And maybe the person who they've gone there to remove from that scene now is probably a mobilizer, is somebody that is popular, is somebody that has, and you feel that his presence there is not favorable to you. We are even lucky that, oh, he was shot on the leg. It could have been worse. And what was the response and reaction of our security agencies? I know that they are supposed to be there. But what do we find? In an ordinary House of Assembly election. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And like the Prof said, which is the correct thing, it is not what is happening there now that matters. For me, I am worried especially because of this low turnout. Because at the end of the day, it is when there is low turnout that there are greater and better chances of rigging and writing results. So are we going to have a reflection of this low turnout in the results we are going to see today? Ultimately. That's the question. It's a big question. So you find that at the end of the day, it is this because people are not there. And for me, I also believe that rigging becomes difficult when the people are there on the ground. You can't just come there and kill everybody now. But when there is apathy, there is discouragement, there is little or no mobilization, at the end of the day, people just write whatever they like and then say, go to court. So that's the problem. I was coming like the last 2 weeks, there were, I saw some security checks on the road. But this morning, as I drove from my house down Airport Road to this side, I didn't meet any security checkpoint. Not police, not army, not anything. That also shows that, oh, there is less tension.
Right.
You know, but again, the people are at it again. So I just hope that this will just be one of the one-off thing, and we don't hear incidents of violence in any other part of the state.
Let me talk to your colleague now, Mbanefo. There is this concern about proliferation of political parties. In fact, to cap it all off, you now have states, for instance, where you have dozens of individuals, candidates, vying for the position of governor in such states. Some people have argued that all of these further protracts the job of INEC, that we're supposed to be running a two-party system. Then you also ask yourself, is it not supposed to be democracy? Is it not supposed to be popular participation, as massive as it can be? People have the right to participate, to associate, to float political parties for as long as they meet the requirements. What are your concerns about the volume, in a manner of speaking, of political parties?
Yes, as a matter of fact, as much as people have right to contest an election, if they are qualified to contest, that freedom should not be a caricature of the system.
Okay.
It shouldn't be a caricature of the system. So every Dick and Harry will come and say, I want to run for governorship, I want to run for government, I want to run for assembly elections. It's not it shouldn't be made a caricature of something. That also shows you that INEC is not in charge. As a matter of fact, according to Began Evans, it says in the code that each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its missions. Either they fulfill it or they betray it. This country, if I thought it's a country, ordinarily supposed to belong to all of us. It's our duty to do everything we can within our powers to ensure that at the end of the day, we have a country we can hand over to our children coming behind us. It's a generational thing. But the situation where we are all losing hope in the system is not the best. Of course, you are aware of Soyinka's comments. Willie Soyinka did say on the eve of his retirement that his own generation was a wasted generation. It depends on where did that generation take Nigeria from, where they met it. Did they move it a little bit ahead, a better country? Did they leave it a better country? And for somebody like Willie Soyinka to admit that his generation was a wasted generation is to tell you that we're not making any progress. The whole thing is that INEC ought to be an unbiased umpire. INEC ought to be a very solid institution. INEC ought to be an institution where you have workers, you train and retrain them. INEC ought to be an institution where there's annual budget for it. So at the next 4 years, you don't need to look for the whole in Nigeria to do one election. And before then, you have already gotten the money. Like my Lieutenant colleague said, and I agree with him, Nigerian Bar Association have been conducting elections through electronic voting, and it's working for them.
But we've also had some instances where there were controversies about your elections.
Yes, I agree with you, like he said,
Yeah.
and I agree with him too, that there's no perfect situation. You keep upgrading the system until you get to a near perfect situation. And so INEC can, the problem we're having is this: we can't even go into electronics without the president, like the prof said, assenting or giving assent to that law. The National Assembly have done their job. The law has been made. It's for the president to assent to it that this the INEC should conduct the election through electronic voting. But it appears that the ruling class feel that that will not favor them, and because of that, they jettisoned that act. And so, for you to make any progress in election in Nigeria, it has to start from National Assembly. The Electoral Act has to be amended to capture exactly the current reality. Nigeria cannot be left alone. Nigeria should be able to benefit from the technological growth the entire world is going through. And we can't just sit down and fold our hands and expect things to happen. If we believe in one Nigeria, if we believe in a united country like Nigeria, if we believe in fact the people of Nigeria, then we should do everything within our powers to ensure that this country is put in place. But outside that, then I agree with my very good friend Professor, who has said that it appears that the only thing that may work in this country, as it were, is regionalism. We have to go back to regionalism, because when you go to the West and you say Yoruba man, you ask him where is the road to this thing, they will tell you, he will reply in the Yoruba language. And at that time, it appears that all the regions was doing better than we are doing right now. The federal system is not favoring anybody. And it has only given birth to cabals in power, who now feel that whatever they dictate is what happens. So
some people have also said that is as a result of the fact that there's so much of concentration of power at the center. But as a follow-up question to the issue we raised a while ago, let's look at developments, what some persons have called political drama, yes, especially in the months leading up to the election proper. Particularly, again, when you look at internal politicking, of course, within political parties, you look at how primaries were conducted and so on and so forth, which have not only created bad blood amongst politicians, especially the chiefs of the parties, but has also now created a problem where you see cross-carpeting, inside out, back, left, right, everywhere. A lot of persons say that also is one of the many things playing out at this election, because you have so many defections, people leaving one party, moving to the other, crossing back the next day. You wake up in the morning, somebody is in one party, by dinner time, they've moved to another party. Are those also factors that we're seeing play out at this election?
Yes, like my friend told you earlier before now, that the Constitution appears to be the grand norm, that's the fulcrum of the entire laws. The National Constitution says that you have freedom of association.
Right.
And if you have freedom of association, it means that you can belong to any party of your choice. You understand? But we have to keep moving. We have to keep amending laws until we get it right. You understand? I think that's not even the problem. The problem we're having is that, one, like the Prof told earlier, we don't have any political ideology in Nigeria. Again, Nigeria as a country, do we believe in it as a country? If we do believe in it as a country, then it behoves on us to do everything we can within our powers to ensure that this entity survives. But for the way things are going, it appears that it is an unholy alliance. It's a marriage of unequal partners. And some people are benefiting from the status quo. And that is what gave birth to the idea of restructuring, which the Prof was saying before now. So if the system is not functioning the way it is right now, what's stopping from restructuring? Because there is no election that you conduct in Nigeria that is going to work out if things are not put in its proper perspective. The problem we have with why today, my own opinion actually about this issue of apathy, today, what has happened today, is that probably the February 23rd election that was held, the outcome did not reflect the people's wishes. And of course, the essence of election is that you come out and vote, and your vote counts. So a situation whereby you leave all you are doing, and you come to vote, at the end of the voting, your vote does not count. It makes no sense coming to vote. So if you even ask me, I would tell you that there's no point of the election. If the powers that be feel that whatever they say happens, why conduct an election? Because it's not actually reflecting the wishes of the people. So for you to conduct a credible, free and fair election, you must get the system working.
Okay, part of the system you talked about was ideology. But I think Barrister Ide wants to ask something.
Yes, on this issue of proliferation of political parties.
Right.
I appreciate the fact that, yes, there's freedom of association, and our law as it stands now talks about, if you meet the requirement, INEC is duty-bound to register you as a political party. But I want to say clearly that in Nigeria today, the problem of having almost 100 political parties is a problem in itself. We must look at our laws, and I think we can do better if the laws limit political parties in Nigeria to not more than 5.
Okay.
Because the reason why we have this proliferation is that there are no ideologies. There are no, it's seamless. You can move from PDP today to APC tomorrow to AP the other day to APGA to whatever. Many of the names we do not even know. Now, what do they stand for? Each of these political parties. What do they represent? What are their political ideologies? What promises are they making to Nigerians? What are they telling us that, if this party is ruling in a particular state, this is their emphasis? Is it education? Is it health? Is it economy? Is it security? Political parties, take for instance, in developed democracies of the world, you will say, in America, for instance, you say you are either a Democrat or you are a Republican. It will be a lineage thing. They call your name, they say, that family, they are Republicans. Their great-great-grandfather was a Republican, the grandfather is a Republican, the present one is a Republican. Why? It's either you are to the left or you are to the right, or you are in the middle. Liberals. But here, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Even in the days of UPN and MPN, there was some level of, if you are in UPN, they know what you stand for. Free education.
SDP.
Even SDP and ROC, they knew what, But today, what do we have?
That was even just in the 90s.
Exactly. So today, what do we have? Nothing. Ask APGA, what is your political focus as a political party? Ask the other one. It's seamless. That's why I can wake up today. I say I'm APC. Tomorrow, I am PDP. Because there is no line of demarcation. There is nothing tying my conscience, my disposition as an individual to say, this is the kind of political party that suits me. So for me, we must work on our laws. Let our political parties not be more than 5. Because these 5 political parties, first, like you have noted, INEC will have lesser work. Look at the presidential ballot papers that they printed. It didn't make sense to me. And of course, that goes with cost. So you must, if we have 5 political parties, find one that suits your disposition, that suits your conscience, that suits the ideology you believe in, and fix into it.
Let me allow Prof talk about ideology a bit more now. When we talk about ideology, it appears the process is like, as the good book also says, the camel passing through the eye of a needle. What does it take to establish ideologies, basically?
It is for the people, resolved by the people. It's for our people our leaders to be sincere. Is to come to a draw table and say, this system is not working. We must do a change. That is all research is about. Can this process lead us forward? Bring to the table, what are the problems, the drawback of this current system? Is it possible to nip them in the bud? And then where it is not, then you think of another. And we have had a system in the past that worked a little bit. And then you notice that the thinkings of the people now agrees with that same system we had in the past. He had just mentioned that if you ask somebody from the West, you ask him even in English language, he's very likely to reply you in his native language, Yoruba. It is like that also if you go to the North, and then in the East it's about like that. I'm telling you now, you have platforms now, with Midwest platform and all that. People have returned back home. It's only the government that is refusing. And that is why it's not showing that the government they are taking the stroll, the government leaders. Because if you say you are leading the people and you turn back and nobody is following you, you are taking a stroll. You are alone. And that is what this election is showing. What can you say you are representing the people when the people have refused to come out to vote? How many persons are you representing? Can you take a population of a number of persons that have voted and you say you are representing the people? You are representing yourself. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 persons that came out to vote. People are not more with you. So you are not carrying people along. And then, you see, that is what we are talking about. The processes preparatory to this even election. So many things are responsible. These are ideology issues we are talking about, which is they not what led the Constitutional Conference under Jonathan? It has to do with ideology. It became clear to us as a country that this system is not working. And so we have to assemble people from different class and creed, races, to come together, you know, to the national office at Abuja to now do a discussion on how. But the powers that be, the cabals we are talking about, have refused that it can never come out. People's will are subverted. And I remember each person, many of them who attended that conference were paid about 15 million naira. Look at, it's the same way at a point the Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida's regime came up and built NRC, SDP secretariats around the local governments in this country. Today, those places are housing rats and rabbits. That is what we have in this country. And then subverting the people's will. For how long are we going to continue? And now you are saying that the people have resigned. They've returned. To a great extent, many people came out on the 23rd to really decide. But the electoral process on ground didn't allow their will to prevail.
And so we can't be here. We can't be dispensing justice on that matter.
No, I'm not dispensing justice.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I'm not dispensing justice.
Okay.
Why did I say electoral bill? You notice that certain areas in this country where children voted, it's no more news. We saw it.
But hasn't that always been the case? It's not something that started yesterday morning.
Then that is where electoral bill would have solved that problem. If it was possible to immediately read your age, your fingerprint and all that, then that would have forestalled all of that. People just clearly walked across the border and voted. And you say you are a Nigerian. You know? And so that is why I'm saying.
But we saw the borders were shut. The land borders were shut.
Shut what?
All through the election period.
How?
Did you visit any?
I didn't visit any, but then I've told you before that we have become electronic. Where many of us we are online. You can from here view what happens. So many other places.
There's something else I want you to react to quickly,
yes.
Prof. The issue of money. Money, more than ever before in our politics, is gaining more prominence and emphasis.
Yes.
A lot of persons say that's one reason we shouldn't go to bed with 2 eyes closed, because it's not only going to create an unpleasant disruption in the process, it's going to establish an extremely negative culture. We've heard about the inducement of voters, vote buying. The method has evolved so quickly from Ekiti to Oshun, and now it's gaining nationwide prominence by and large. How do we deal with that as well?
Just to say that the money has developed color. It's no more Nigerian naira.
Okay.
What you have now is dollars. Nigerians' recent currency is now, or election currency is now the dollars, the American dollars. That is what played out. In fact, in our system here, it created problem. Even till yesterday, the problems were still being solved. Thousands of dollars came into this country. And of course, many of us, the night penultimate that election, we googled, and you notice that the dollar was now exchanging 184 naira to $1.
But Google said that was an error. They said that was a coding error, a programming error on their site.
Is it not the same problem? You see,
Nigerian government doesn't own Google. Political parties in this country do not own Google.
You see, the problem here is the decision makers. Nigerians are able to sway even the gods. No matter how.
So you're saying Google could have been compromised?
They can turn a statute overnight.
Prof, categorically, are you saying Google could have been compromised?
Well, I don't want to. That is legal. So I don't want to make that categorical statement. Yes. But it's left to them. Because what I know as a fact is that thousands of dollars came into this country, and is that not going to have an influence on our exchange rates? Let us establish all of this. As I'm telling you that dollars came, money, people were swayed with dollars and all that. And so why would that affect, the exchange rate? Why is Google now telling us that it was a programming error? What are we talking about? So the issue here is that just that night it changed. The problem is the political class are continually pauperize the people. You have a professor that doesn't have a roof of his own, a roof over his head, and he knows very soon he's going to retire. And then you have, taking him as an ad hoc staff to go to the field to conduct an election. And for something he has never seen in his life, he has seen dollars. And he knows the strength of the dollar to the naira. Why won't he will jump at it? Abi? Then you have so many that are not eating before they didn't even eat before they came to that to the polling units. Because I confirmed that earlier in teaching in class that there are so many homes where they don't put pot on fire in a day. It's not because they didn't want to cook, but because there is nothing to boil. And so that one sees money clearly. Even in the university, somebody told me that last day, people were say vote for one particular candidate at to the National Assembly and come and collect money. Even inside the university, the polling booth in the university. We talk of
were you swayed?
Yeah, me?
Yeah, were you
I
swayed?
didn't vote, I was here.
Okay, you were here. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you heard the story.
Yes, I heard the story.
Yeah.
I was told by a very close person,
okay,
a family member.
And this was on campus?
Yes,
polling units on campus?
On campus, yes. In name of a politician in this environment that was going to the National Assembly,
okay,
was the one they asked that you should vote for and come and collect money. And so all of that happened. And I've said here, how can you now, for a man that is dying of hunger, withstand such threat? Because it's threat. And so the man throws caution to the wind and collects money. Say, well, if it's only this one, because he knows that at the end of the day, he's not going to see that politician anymore. If the man assumes office, the politician is not going to even influence anything in his or her environment. All through the period he will be there in office. And so it's okay, let me quickly collect this one. This is the one that has. So this is what is happening with the level of desperation and all that.